Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is George and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about the final episode of Code Geass Roze of the Recapture. So, what do you think about this big conclusion of the series? To be honest, if I had to describe this entire series in one word, it would be rush, because I think that up to this point in the story, we all have realized like this series definitely needed to be at least 24 episodes, because everything seems very fast-paced and there's not a lot of breathing room or a lot of time to really flesh out the characters, except for characters like Ash and Sakuya as well. But besides that, I mean, like, most of the cast, you know, they're very, you know, simple. Like, there's no complexities like the original series, which, by the way, I mean, we can't really compare it to the original series because I'm there, to be fair. So, I mean, overall, I think that this conclusion did a good job wrapping things up. However, it was extremely rushed, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Now, before I go any further with this episode review, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channels so you guys can see more anime and manga, as well as more Code Geass content that I'll be providing in this channel. So if you guys could please subscribe to my YouTube channel, I really appreciate it. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off, you see the Doombas, as I call them, the Loki nightmare frames destroying the world, and who's there to save the day? Colin shows up for like 10 seconds. I think I counted it too. I think she only has like actual screen presence less than 10 seconds, but it was cool just seeing her. Great hearing Sarah Strassman. I think that's the voice actress of Colin in the dub, so it was really good seeing her. We see that also, you know, how Ash was falling from the sky. We all speculated that, you know, Sakuya was gonna save him, and she does, and she saves him. You know, she brings him down to the floor, like to a safe place, and they're like, "Hey, what's wrong?" Ash is like, he defeated me." And you see him kind of like dead inside, you know, just from his expression itself. So Sakuya's like, "No, come on, you gotta get your act together." He's like, "We can do this together. It's my time to protect you." And you see that Ash is like, "Okay, very well." And then like he shakes her hand, and he's like, "Listen, I need you to do this." And he's like, "What do you want me to do?" It's like, "I need you to use your Geass on me again." And then Sakuya is super against it, because she obviously knows all of the pain and suffering that the Geass has brought upon her and other people as well. So she's like, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. And she's like, "No, you have to, because otherwise Norland will defeat us." And, you know, eventually, after some long conversation with Ash, she eventually gives in, and she's like, "All right, fair enough." He's like, "Just come back to me." And he's like, "Okay." And she pretty much uses her Geass to make him perform to his best performance in this final battle, similar to like something like Suzaku, where like, "I command you to live," you know, something like that, but it's more like, "I command you to defeat Norland and save the world." So we see pretty much after that we catch up and we see the fight, this big epic fight with Norland. And I will say, at first when I was looking at the fight, I was like, wow, so they just gotta dodge lasers, that's it? Because to be fair, Norland is not a fighter, he just has a hack's nightmare frame, you know. But I will give the show credit, because they actually made that sequence very intense. Like, it was very cool. It had a lot of like what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of tension. They actually gave me like, wow, they're gonna make it? Are they gonna get hit? But yeah, pretty much what happens is they're dodging these attacks. They're trying to learn the flight patterns, and eventually, Norland gets a massive hit on them. Like, he rocks them so much that Sakuya gets like knocked out for a bit. She's unconscious. Like, and I go, "Let me get unconscious for a bit." And you see Ash eventually like snaps back. He's like, "Come on, we gotta do this." And she's like, "Yeah, right." And Sakuya's like afraid for her life, as she should, because Norland is, this nightmare frame he's using is like insane. And one thing to note is that I guess the Loki units, they were gonna take over the world in 3 days, and I'm just like, what? Okay, Norland has all this power, I guess, out of nowhere. But pretty much we see that after, you know, Sakuya and Ash combine their mechs, they fuse, they kind of learn the attack patterns and all that. They are able to finally, you know, nail a hit on Norland. And not just that, Norland gets pretty much killed, rightfully so, by Ash. Ash gets his big moment where he gets to take revenge on, you know, his brother Nicole, and, you know, he gets to take down, you know, Norland's life. And pretty much after that is that we see, you know, Norland dead, but he had a contingency plan. He had like a bomb that was going to detonate once his, like, you know, once he died. And we see that pretty much as, you know, Ash realizes like the meter of their mech nightmare frame is like running low. He realizes that, you know, they gotta separate, and he separates himself from Sakuya, so Sakuya has enough energy to go reach the surface, and he, you know, they're falling to their death. And we see that he just tells Sakuya, like, "Don't follow me, because, you know, you gotta save your energy to make it back to the surface." And we see that, you know, as he's falling down, he's like, you know, Sakuya is very emotional about the whole thing. It's like, listen, my biggest regret is that the one regret I have the most is that I will not be able to be there with you. I wish I would spend more time with you. And then we see pretty much the explosion happens, and yeah, he's presumably dead. And I think that this was a very emotional scene. Like, even as somebody that has a lot of complaints about this show, the pacing and all that, I think that Ash's character was very well done, and his intentions were very clear from the get-go. And I think he's a very tragic character, similar to, like, you know, Code Geass fashion. You know, characters like Rollo from the original series. You know, very characters that had a lot of baggage in their past, that, you know, were trying to find happiness, and that happiness gets taken away in a very tragic way. So I think that they definitely nailed Ash's character. Is it very sad that he died? Yes. You know, especially because his name is Phoenix. But pretty much what happens after that, you know, Sakuya just loses it. You know, she starts bawling her eyes out, and rightfully so. I mean, she just lost Ash, you know, a person that she really cared for a lot. And pretty much after that, we cut back to, you know, like I said, the big base that Norland was running, big explosions everywhere, like everything gets detonated, and pretty much peace has been restored to the world, you know, thanks to Ash's sacrifice. And we see that, you know, Kaguya is having this big speech at the Federation of Nations, and, you know, they're talking about like how thanks to 2 nameless mercenaries, the world was saved. And you see a big statue of the 2, you know, nightmare frames, you know, Sakuya's nightmare frame as well as Ash's, you know, kind of being like displayed for like a statue of him. And I thought that was very sweet, you know, very like his legacy will live on. And after that, we kind of just get a very fast like epilogue of all the characters up to now. Like, you see Haruka with her dad, you know, they go to visit, I guess, Haruka's mom's grave. We also see Catherine. She survived, and I was like, thank God, my girl Catherine survived, thank you. But we see that she survived, and she turned a new leaf, man. It seems like, you know, we see that she goes to that orphanage where you know, Ash was used to live back in the day, because Lady Nara, she's there, you know, one of the Norland's knights, you know, the one with the red hair. She's there, and she's, you know, taking care of the kids. And we'll also see like the tombstone of Ash, you know, Sakuya gave him some flowers. Everything's very like emotional. You know, she's in her dress. And how the series ends up, it's in a very somber note. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, man, this is like very sad. By the way, a lot of FBI agents opened their phone the second they saw this, because they saw Yoko, you know, the big blondie from the rebellion. Yeah, she's a minor, so she couldn't drink because they were drinking it up. And even the guys are like, what? And I was like, oh man, FBI agents, they're working overtime now, tracking all these people. But in all seriousness, how the episode then ends is we see this very beautiful scene where we see Sakuya use her Geass on a mirror to take away her own Geass, because she cannot live with the fact of having this much power, especially how foolishly she was using this power, you know, how recklessly. And, you know, it's very, I like the symbolicness to that, because as she's doing that, she's reflecting on her past actions, and she's also looking at a mirror which reflects onto you. So I thought that was a very subtle scene that I really enjoyed, where she pretty much just commands herself to never speak again. And, you know, she becomes coronated to become the empress of, you know, the Hokkaido. And we see that the show ends pretty much where you see Sakuya in, you know, like in her house with the rest of the animals that Ash took in, and they kind of live in through that memory. And it was very sweet. It was very emotional in that aspect, where you see Sakuya like, your life will live on through these pets, and thank you so much for everything. And overall, like I said, I have a lot of issues with this show, but I think they didn't land the ending. To some aspects, yes. Norland's character is trash. Like, definitely the worst villain in the franchise, no doubt about that. So definitely I have my issues on that, and I'll never, you know, stop saying that. He sucks. Like, he definitely sucks. But overall, I wish this show would have had 24 episodes, because I feel it would have been a much better, cohesive, paced show as well. But hey, man, we got what we got, and I think my overall ranking for this show as a whole, it definitely is it's my least favorite of between Akito and the original Code Geass. I think this is a 7.5 because I gave Akito the Exile an 8.5, and obviously I gave the original a 10 out of 10. So I think this is definitely a 7.5. A very fun show. If you're a big Code Geass fan, you'll like it. But besides that, I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's a decently enough show, you know, all things considered. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this final episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Code Geass, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.